Hey guys, welcome back to another today's video. In this new today's video, it's going to be a brand new video, part of my video series of breaking up the two-party duopoly. In this new video series, I'm going to be promoting another independent candidate that's actually running for mayor of New York City in the 2021 New York City mayoral election. That's going to take place on November 2nd, 2021. And her name is Quanda Francis, an independent candidate running for mayor of New York City. And before I begin, like I did in all my other videos, I will leave her Twitter, her campaign website, and her other website to promoting her campaign. If you guys wanted to support her, contribute to her campaign, I will leave that all in the description below, and even in the comment section, because you never know. You guys, at the end of this video, you guys might want to support her. And if you guys do live in New York City, you guys might want to support her in 2021 to be your next mayor of New York City. And honestly, in my opinion, like what I said before in all my other videos, give all people a chance. Everyone has good ideas to actually find great solutions and ideas to actually improve upon the quality of life for all people. And that's something Quanda Francis has when I do start talking about her campaign and what type of person she is, and what's her overall vision and plan of what she wants to do for New York City that will create a New York City that works for everyone, that will rise to the occasion to build a better New York City for all New Yorkers. So here is actually Quanda Francis running as an independent candidate for mayor of New York City. So Quanda S. Francis for NYC mayor. I'm running for the highest office in New York City. I feel honored to run. I feel obligated to run. Why am I running? Because for too long, corporate interests and the wealthy have had disproportionate say in how our city has been run. It is time for the people to have a voice and a choice. As a data scientist, entrepreneur, PhD candidate, wife, and mother who was born and raised in New York City, I want better for the city where I reside. The city where you reside as well. I want New York City to be a place where everyone has a fair chance, where opportunity abounds, and our behaviors towards one another reflect compassion and benevolence. I cannot do it without you. My fellow candidates, I fueled by large donations from the rich and powerful. My campaign is fueled by determination, cooperation, and perseverance. In early January, my campaign suffered a tremendous blow. When our campaign chairperson, Thomas Francis, passed away suddenly. Thomas Francis was more than my mentor and guide. He was my father-in-law. Our loss is inexplicable, but he would want us to prepare diligently. Our loss is immeasurable, but he would want us to press on. Our loss is debilitating, but he would want us to push through. You can accelerate the moment, support the movement, and give life to the manifestation by donating to the campaign. Your donation helps to ensure that a candidate who's about the people, for the people, and of the people becomes your next mayor. Here's how you can help. Send $10 every month, every other week, or every week, because the campaign could surely use your help. $10 a week is less than $2 a day. $10 a day every other week is less than $1 a day. If you can only give $10 a month, which is 30 cents a day, that would be appreciated as well. But just don't give. Tell friends, then tell that friend to tell his/her friends. You can visit my website at www.quandafrancis.com. Wow, just wow. She would honestly, in my opinion, like all the other third-party candidates that I've promoted, she would also make a great elected official, a great politician to actually lead New York City into a better direction, that will rise it into a better future, where it's a New York City, a big apple that works for everyone, where every single New Yorker has the freedom and the liberty to pursue an individual right that they want to live, without some government bureaucrat, without some corporate interest and wealthy telling them how to run their lives. She wants to make a New York City that works for the people, not for wealthy or rich donors. And that's one of the big reasons why she's running as a candidate. And she has my full respect, because she has my full respect. So now let's continue talking about her as a candidate. Meet Quanda Francis, next mayor of New York City. Quanda Francis is a visionary leader, a change agent, native New Yorker, mom, wife, and a first-generation college graduate who was born and raised in a housing development in Brooklyn, New York. Join us in building a new New York City, a city that works for everyone. So right here and there, she's all about building a brand new New York City that works for you, that works for the people, not for corporate interests and not for wealthy people, and not just for corporate interests and not for wealthy people. She's going to be a fighter for you, New Yorkers. And honestly, she's promoting her as a candidate, the one for 2021. Quanda Francis is a 2021 candidate for mayor of New York City, and she's running in the New York City citywide November 2nd, 2021 general election. Quanda became the first African American and Black woman in history to qualify and appear on the ballot as a New York City mayoral candidate in a New York City general election. She's a visionary leader, change agent, native New Yorker, mother of three, wife, and first-generation college graduate. Quanda earned a Bachelor's of Arts from New York University, a Master's of Business Administration, MBA, from Long Island University, and she's currently pursuing a PhD in Information Science from Long Island University. She's currently an accountant data scientist and the president of Skies Capital Management, a cutting-edge fintech firm that is based in New York City. But life was not always this way for Quanda. She dropped out of high school and was pregnant with her first child, all by the age of 17 years old. She was a victim of domestic violence and had to overcome tremendous adversity. And she did. And now she's running for mayor. She believes we need new leadership in City Hall that serves, not dictates, that consolidates, not separates, and lastly, leadership that understands the importance of implementing data-driven public policies. Her platform encompasses this nation, 8.5 million residents, 5 boroughs, 1 mission to build a new New York City that works for everyone. Wow. She's sounding like a very, very great person, and someone, if I lived in New York, I might consider voting. If I lived in New York, I might actually consider ranking her as first or maybe my second choice candidate. She's a great person, actually. But from what I'm hearing, her life was not always great, and that's kind of true for most people, because not everyone's life is great, but it can be made into something better, made into something greater than what it is now, as long as they keep working hard and never quitting and always doing the small things in life to keep building a better future for themselves that will ultimately create a society where the next generation where the next generation of your kids and the next generation of their kids to actually live in a society that's far better. That's far better than a world that we live in currently. She's a very great person. I honestly, in my opinion, she would make a very good leader for New York City to be your next mayor, because like what it says here, she's a visionary leader. She's a change agent, and that's something New York City needs. Simply because what I've been seeing on the news, it has lost a lot of its identity with the rising crime violence and the police and the New York and the mayor turning its back on the police, and it's really lost its spirit in New York City. And she would honestly, in my opinion, she would also make another great leader to actually envision a new New York City that works for everyone, to rise it up back to greatness once again. So now let's talk about some of her policies on where she stands on some issues. Quanda Francis, I am running as an independent, and I envision a new New York City. A New York City that works for every resident, and regardless of their zip code. A New York that educates all children and young adults comprehensively. A New York that prioritizes educating students with disabilities comprehensively. A New York that prioritizes equity in education and improving educational outcomes for students with disabilities. A New York addresses employment and gender discrimination within city government and ensures that hiring and promotional practices are fair and transparent. A New York that ensures equal access to employment opportunities for all New York City residents. A New York that prioritizes digitalization and invests in building an efficient, secure, and transparent e-services ecosystem, in which a minimum of 75% of the city's government services can be offered online. A New York that values and listens to the concerns of its youth and invests in entrepreneurship training programs that it can inclusively train them to become business owners that can contribute to a robust New York City economy. A New York that commits to rebuilding its infrastructure. A New York that prioritizes sustainability and reducing waste. A New York that addresses healthcare disparities. A New York that makes housing affordable. A New York that ensures equal access to employment opportunities for all New York City residents. A New York that will prioritize improving the quality of life of all New York City residents. A New York that cherishes and cares for its seniors. A New York that protects all residents of New York City from harm. Wow. Her campaign is all about building a New York City that works for all people, that works for all New Yorkers, even for you, but that works for everyday New Yorkers, not just for the rich, not just for the wealthy, not just for the elite, but for you, New Yorkers. She's going to be a fighter for you, a fighter for the people. If it is protecting all residents of New York City from harm, if it is if it is actually ensuring equal access to employment opportunities for all New York City residents, and even if it is educating all children and young adults comprehensively. She's going to be a fighter for all of you that will envision a new New York City that will work for the people, not for the wealthy, not for the upper class. And that's where some of her policies and what she's gonna be as a mayor of New York City if elected on November 2nd, 2021. So now let's actually talk about some of her plans on where she's going to take New York City. Let's first start with education and K-12. K-12 education plan, taking education out of the dark ages and into the 21st century. I quote her, "We need to set our students up for success. As a mother of three very different children with different learning styles, including a son who is neurologically diverse and classified as a student with a disability, I have personally witnessed how poorly our education system is at identifying and recognizing the differences in student learning styles that can impact overall academic performance. Modern education. A Francis administration would revolutionize K-12 education and utilize machine learning recommendation systems that can be designed to offer each New York City public school student a personalized education plan, PEP. The plans would be measurable and scalable approach to improving the educational outcomes for all New York City students. My digitalization education plan aims to implement modern digital technology more efficiently and effectively in learning, teaching, research. For example, it includes ensuring that every student receives the necessary knowledge and skills to access modern digital infrastructure for future use. A Francis administration would also employ an education agenda that ensures that every student is exposed to coding, starting in elementary school. Education ultimately determines a nation's viability, and therefore no investment is too large. The mayor is charged with not just bringing functionality to education, but more importantly, efficiency. The four major components of education are students, parents, teachers, and administrators. All four components should work synergistically. I could be pronouncing it wrong, which means they should not only complement one another, they should enhance one another. Parents, teachers, and students should enhance administrators. Teachers, students, and administrators should enhance parents. Students, administrators, and parents should enhance teachers, and administrators, parents, and teachers should enhance students. Parents have unique needs that are often ignored, which means the students away from school environment is not factored in results in educational mishaps. Essential info includes 1, how many people are living in the household, 2, traumatic history, 3, food security, 4, house security, 5, school commute, 6, caregiver professions, 7, information about the actual residents, e.g. how large and how many rooms, As mayor, I will make decisions based on safety first contingencies. Safety first drives all educational decisions. In terms of the pandemic, there must be plans in place for in-person instruction, virtual instruction, and a combination of both. Teacher preparation and training should emphasize strategic utilization of technology, a basic understanding of creating videos, gaming, and social media. A child's inherent strength and interest should be considered to better direct them in areas where they are more likely to excel, which I strongly agree with, because if we're focusing on helping children find their one and great talent, where they're most strong at, then we're creating a far more productive society for all people, where everyone is actually in the fight to actually make our society, to make our country, to make our cities, to make our neighborhoods and communities a better place for all people. Administrators need to be evaluated on measures besides scores on standardized tests, graduations as promotion rates, and number of suspension. The school building must be a member of the community that remains open, offering a host of services. Student learning should not be so classroom centered, especially in New York City, which has so many places to visit. Parents must be and feel welcome. The school hours and days may need modification to better suit students and their families. And if you guys want to actually check our full educational plan out, like always, like what I said in the beginning, I will link this campaign website for Twitter and this other campaign website in the description below, so you guys can check her out and actually get more of the full detail on our full educational plan. So let's actually talk about let's talk about two more actually. Let's talk about where she stands on the plan on a new vision for public safety. Modern public safety, preserving our human resources wisely by using technology to keep our communities safe. New vision, information, and organization are our greatest tools to ensure the safety of families, friends, and neighbors in our communities. With more accurate identification and actual communication between agencies, we can protect a lot more with a lot less. New vision for public safety. I have a vision for public safety. During my tenure as a New York NYPD crime analyst, I noticed several key redundancies and outdated processes that reduce the effectiveness of the NYPD's overall organizational operational apparatuses and investigative capabilities. Information and organization are our greatest tools to ensure we keep all New York City residents safe from harm, especially given the recent increases in anti-Asian hate crimes and the explosive increase in gun violence. With more accurate identification and actual communication between agencies, we can protect a lot more with a lot less. I intend to improve efficiencies in high-frequency workflow tasks, deploy needed technology in areas previously impossible, solve complex challenges, and do it all cost significantly lower than legacy solutions and systems. I intend to cut the NYPD budget by 27%, reduce crime, and reinvest in marginalized communities without jeopardizing public safety. We will utilize hardware and software solutions that create an autonomously responding security system. These solutions enable real-time deterrence to crime acts with non-biased autonomous engagements. The autonomous devices can identify and respond autonomously, just like an officer, but without a high cost and related liabilities. The platform will include comprehensive messaging, audio options, and a host of other features in one simple to install security in a box solution of public spaces and serve as a public deterrent that is highly visible, create non-biased, non-discriminatory, full recorded interactions that provide accountability and instant access to situation in progress, provide situational awareness to on-site personnel or first responders in real time. And that's her like overall plan to actually bring forth a new vision for public safety. She wants to actually emphasize having utilized hardware and software solutions that could create an autonomously more responding security system. She wants to make sure she wants to cut the NYPD budget by 27%, and also help reduce crime and reinvest in marginalized communities without jeopardizing public safety, which is honestly a good thing, in my opinion. If we're going to really, I think it's a good thing to actually reinvest in very marginalized communities, and like in poor communities, to help actually lower the crime rates in those type of communities, which is honestly going to help make public safety, which is all honestly going to help make all New Yorkers in every corner of New York, NYC, a safe place where everyone can live freely and respectively without fearing that they're gonna get killed by crime, that they're gonna get killed by a criminal. But she's honestly all for bringing forth a new vision for public safety and keeping you guys all safe, and bringing like utilizing hardware and software solutions to help create a better security system to keep your friends and families and neighbors safe in your communities. So let's actually talk about one more part of her plan of what she aims to do to actually make New York City a better place for all New Yorkers that can work for all people. So let's talk about workforce development. Let's talk about where she stands on workforce development plan. Communities where we do not invest will create populations that reflect the neglect they were shown. We will train and employ New Yorkers who are willing, able, and ready to work and have meaningful measures to access their willingness, ability, and readiness. Workforce development. Workforce development is an integral aspect of a city's economic vitality. The pandemic has decimated the job market, resulting in layoffs and recessions like unemployment. Complicating matters is how particular racial and ethnic communities have been affected. According to a recent study, people of color accounted for nearly 70% of New York City's job losses. Particularly, industries and jobs have been adversely impacted, displacing many working-class people who do not have financial margins, long-term savings that could sustain them for months. Deepening the crisis was the political meandering in the House and Senate that delayed stimulus payouts, created a fund, and bailed out small businesses. The first step is returning to pre-pandemic employment levels. However, the ultimate goal is to have a robust job career market that far exceeds the pre-pandemic employment levels. As mayor, I would stimulate the job market by utilizing analytics models, committees, and subcommittees consisting of various industry leaders and New York City agencies as partners with private sector entities to enact a workforce development 10-point plan. However, my leadership and management philosophy is that no one plan is in isolation. Every plan is directly or indirectly connected to every other plan to improve efficiency and maximum impact. Consequently, education, health and safety, housing and law enforcement, workforce development, etc., are elements of a larger goal and plan that establishes a New York that works for everyone. The workforce development 10-point plan consists of the following items. Listen very carefully here. This is our plan on workforce development. 1, appoint a workforce development executive officer along with borough superintendents to superhead and oversee workforce development initiatives. 2, identify persisting threats to the New York City economy and measure short, mid, and long-term impacts. 3, devise action plans that accelerate the return to pre-pandemic job market levels and pinpoint population segments that were unemployed, underemployed, and discourage pre-pandemic to provide training, job career preparation, and placement. 4, examine future jobs / career / entrepreneurial / industrial / consumer trends and support curricular and instruction emphasizing employment and entrepreneurial opportunities in these fields. 5, foster education and training initiatives for formerly incarcerated individuals that will provide them with meaningful employment and or entrepreneurial opportunities. 6, reduce city taxes on small businesses and ease rent payments for small businesses. 7, establish a wage supplement plan, providing wage vouchers to small businesses to lessen payroll burdens. 8, create a New York City-wide career bank portal that centralizes career, such as job bank, listing to reduce redundancy, increase usage, improves navigation, and accelerates jobs / career prospecting. Develop more city employment opportunities. Researchers, surveyors, maintenance workers, analysis, technology specialists. I believe the city should be a catalyst for jobs as careers as entrepreneurial opportunities. And 10, attract and retain large firms that will stimulate our employment sector. And this is how she's going to make a New York City that works for everyone, that will rise up to the occasion to build a better New York City where it can once again strive back to greatness of being the greatest city in America, where everyone has the dream to actually one day to live out a life that they have always envisioned to live. And that's the type of New York City that she's going to create for New York, a city that works for you, that works for the people, that where you guys have all the liberty and have all the tool sets to actually live out your fantasies, to live out your liberty, and live out your dreams that you have always envisioned when you were young. So, and I'll leave it actually there on our plans, and I'll let you guys check out on our other plans, because I didn't get to all of them. I just got to some of them just to give you a general idea of where she stands on some issues. Before I go, actually, I'm going to talk about her first 100 days if she is elected mayor of New York City. And this is, we're going back to our main messaging. 8.5 million residents, 5 boroughs, 1 mission to build a new New York City that works for everyone. And I'll talk about some of them. I'm not going to get to all of them, but so I can leave it all up to you guys to do the rest of the research for yourself and actually come to a final decision if you would be consider voting for her. And if you don't want to vote for her, you might want to consider ranking her second or ranking her third, or maybe actually talk about her with friends and family, like what she's trying to get you guys to do on this. Don't just give. Don't be the only one supporting her. Tell your friends, and then they will tell their friends. Tell your neighbors. Tell your family members, and they will tell other families. Help spread the word about her in her campaign, because honestly, in my opinion, everyone has great ideas. Everyone should have a chance to actually govern, to actually be given a shot at leading a brighter, to actually build a better future for all people. And then that's what she wants to do. She has great policies to actually make a New York City, to actually make and build a new New York City that will work for you, that will work for all people and not just for the wealthy. And so let's actually talk about some of her areas of what she plans to do in her first 100 days. My top priority will be to improve the quality of life of all New York City residents. I would appoint a chief equity officer that will be tasked with assessing, analyzing, and evaluating historical data derived from various New York City agencies. I will address the economic inequalities that are correlated with disparities in education, employment opportunities, access to safe and affordable housing, quality of life, and access to quality and affordable health care. I will also prioritize digitalization and invest in efficient, secure, and transportation ecosystem in which a minimum of 75% of the city's government services can be offered online. I will work to restore New York City's robust economy and balance our budget, and not on the backs of our most vulnerable, and not at the expense of our business community that is so vital to New York City's economic ecosystem. I would establish a single system strategy for New York City's disengaged youth population, which is currently estimated to be over 250,000. I would expand the summer youth program and ensure that every applicant that applies for summer youth employment receives a job opportunity. I will establish a single online portal to advise all New York NYC internship opportunities. And just like that, she has great ideas to actually build a New York City and to improve upon the quality of life for all New York City residents. If it is actually advertising, to actually promote more NYC internship opportunities, to actually expand, to actually give everyone a chance to actually find an internship, to help them find a career that they're going to enjoy, that's actually worthwhile for them to do, to actually keep improving, where they can pick a career where they can actually be successful at it, where they actually have a strong suit in, to actually keep where everyone are finding good talent, are finding their one and only talent to actually keep making our society better for all people. And that's what she wants to do. She wants to give all of you the right and the power to rise up to the occasion and to help build a better and new New York City that will work for all of you, that will work for your neighbors, that will work for your friends, family, and so on. So actually, talk about her as a candidate, and I will leave her campaign website and her Twitter and this campaign website in the description below. So if you guys want to actually consider supporting her, actually chip in some money to actually chip in some money to her campaign to actually help her with political ads, and also tell your friends, and they will tell their friends, and they will also tell their family members to actually and their neighbors and their other community members about our campaign, and talk about her policies with everyone to help spread the word about her campaign. Because ultimately, real change begins with all of us, that will break up the two-party duopoly for generations to come, that will reimagine a new New York City, that will reimagine a new America for generations to come. So, and before I go, actually, she does have some events here, and I'll leave some of it. I'll go into just a little bit before I go. I guess there's on December 29th, she does have some events. So actually, if you guys want to actually get to know her more and more, actually, here are some of the events that are going to take place. I think some of them are kind of late already, but if you see her locally, say hi to her, talk to her, because that's how we build connections. That's how we actually get to know people, and that's how you eventually learn that eventually make your final decision if you're going to vote for her or not, or rank her as your second or third choice as a candidate. Because honestly, in my opinion, she has great challenges. She's a very courageous and bold leader that has really great solutions to make a new New York, to build a better and new New York City that will work for you. That will not work for the politicians. That will not work for the elite. That will not work for the corporate interests and rich people. That will work only for you. She's going to be a fighter for the people. So in the comment section below, what do you guys think about her as a candidate? Would you, if you guys live in New York City, would it be someone you would consider voting for? If not, just keep talking about her as a candidate, and talking about her with friends and family. If you do in New York City, to actually talk about her with friends and family on policies and her plans and in her what she's going to do in her first 100 days. And you never know, you might actually change your mind and actually wanting to volunteer and donating. Your friends and family might want to consider volunteering and donating to her campaign. Because ultimately, in my opinion, real change comes with all of us to reimagine a new beginning for this great country that will truly create a country where everybody's ideas are respected and everybody's leading the way to a bold future and to a new courageous beginning for this grand country and for this grand New York City. So talk about her in the comment section below, and don't forget to actually share some other third-party independent candidates that are running for office in 2021, 2022, 2024. And share the other third-party independent candidates that are running for office, if it's governor, presidential, Senate, state legislature races, local and other local elections like city commissioners and so on. Because ultimately, I will promote them if you guys give me more ideas and give me other third-party candidates that need more help at gaining public that need help to actually get their name out there, to get their names on the ballot, and to present themselves as credible candidates. Because ultimately, you guys, we can all be agents to change that will truly break up the two-party duopoly for generations to come and reimagine America and New York City and all of your states and all of the states, even your home state, for generations to come. So don't forget to like and subscribe, and comment down below and talk about her as a candidate, or share other third-party candidates that are running for office. And until next time, guys, this is the Young Centrist, and I am out.